Well, good morning. It is great to be back with you. We are going to be talking about the message that Pastor Bob gave this last Sunday and really focus on the three parables in Luke 15 that really tied together a lot. And I think Pastor Bob is right in saying that they were meant to. Jesus went into three of them after hearing the question, why are you hanging out with these tax collectors and sinners? And he goes through, and all of them involve the lost, obviously highlighting with one of the most well-known parables of all time, the parable of the prodigal son. So we're going to look at the second discussion question, which actually points back to the Old Testament, to Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 1 through 12. And it says, how does God feel about the lost sheep? Based on this passage, do you think God has expectations for his church and people regarding the lost sheep? And what do you think God expects of his church regarding the lost sheep? First off, I'm not going to read all 12 of those verses because that would take up the entire time for the devotional. But I think it is important to highlight the main points I really noticed when reading that passage, which I'd encourage you to read on your own, is really about looking out for the sheep, feeling like the shepherds of those sheep have really fallen short. And I think what's clear there is those shepherds have an important role in leading those sheep. Now, as we talked about a couple Sundays ago, Jesus is the good shepherd. There's only one good shepherd. But we're meant to come alongside and be who Jesus uses in shepherding others. And so what we see here is the Israelite people were falling short. The elders of that time, they were not doing the job that they should have been doing, looking out for the lost. So it's clear that God does care a lot about the lost sheep. That's who he wants us to make sure we're paying attention to as followers of him. And that's, I think, a huge part of why he even goes into these parables in the first place. When someone asks, well, why would he hang out with these people? He's making it clear, because that's where I want my people. I want them to hear about who I am. The lost aren't going to hear about who Jesus is unless the church, God's hands and feet, go to them. We're who God chooses to work through. That's a blessing, but it's also a responsibility. So be praying, who has God placed in your life to be impacting with the gospel? What's that even truly mean? What is the gospel? And that's what we get to see in the last discussion question from this week, is thinking about what is the gospel and how do I share that with others? How do I live that out through my life so that some of these lost sheep might come to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior? We're going to talk about that next time. We'll see you then.